What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today we finally got to go somewhere that we've been trying to get to for over a year. Someplace that was on our original itinerary when we initially planned to hit the road back in 2020. That was before COVID shut down the planet. Things have finally opened back up somewhat, and we finally got to visit White Sands National Park. So the place we decided to stay to visit White Sands National Park, there's no RV camping inside the park, so we did the next best thing and stayed at Oliver Lee Memorial State Park, which is only about a half an hour away.
Yeah, and they have 16 sites that have electric out of about 44 sites, and we stayed in one of the dry camping for the 3 nights that we stayed there.
Our site was awesome. It was a really large site. It kind of backed in almost parallel with the road, so backed in there, had a beautiful view of the mountain there from our campsite. It was pretty private. There wasn't anybody really super close to us there, so it was really an awesome site. It was incredibly windy, but other than that, we liked that site quite a bit. And the park itself, while there's not a tremendous amount to do there, really, I mean, there's hiking and things you can do there, but it's a smaller park, and again, we were just using it kind of as a home base to go to White Sands from there. So one thing we noticed as we were driving back to the park, when we got close, we could see some RVs off kind of in the distance, and we thought maybe that might be the state park. It was not. That was actually the Dog Canyon dispersed camping site. So I looked it up on Campendium. It's actually got some good reviews. There are some reviews there recently of somebody kind of giving people a hard time around there, but apparently he's gone now. The overwhelming majority of the reviews there are good. We drove back there and took a look. There's quite a bit of space back there. You can get any size rig back there, really. They have fire pits, so there are some areas that you can tell are designed to be like campsites back there. It's literally right outside the gate of the state park. So, you know, if boondocking is your thing, if you want to do some dispersed camping, you can do it right there, and you're going to be right there at that state park. Having said that, camping in New Mexico state parks is really inexpensive. So our site, a dry camping spot there, was only $14 a night. Pretty inexpensive. I mean, that's not bad. There was a water spigot located just right down from our site, so we had easy access to water. It was overall a really good site. So we made our way down to White Sands National Park. We noticed immediately as soon as we pulled into the parking lot for the visitor center that we saw people standing outside. So that was because they would only let one family or one group that was there together in at a time. So if there was a group of 2 people, then those 2 people got to go in. When they left, the next group could go in. We were a little disappointed in the visitor center because they didn't really have, it wasn't even really the visitor center. I mean,
and more like a gift shop.
Yeah, it was more like a souvenir type setup. You walked in, they had some tables set up with some souvenirs on them that you could purchase, but the actual visitor center section was blocked off. They wouldn't let you go back in there, and then they made you exit out the back. So we were there to do some sledding. Don't want to do some sand sledding, so we had to go out the back of the building, around over to where the real gift shop is, to get the round sleds that they sell there. Again, that gift shop was closed as well, so everybody formed a line outside. You went up basically to the door of the gift shop, told them what you were there for, and then they would do the transaction right there. But the sleds are $20. The wax that they recommend putting on the bottom of the sled so it'll slide easier, it was like $1.50 or $2 for a big cube of wax. And they will also buy the board back from you for $4 if you bring them back the receipts and the board. We elected to keep ours, and once we got all that squared away, hopped in the truck and made our way back into the park and headed toward the sand dunes.
So Dylan actually got to go snow sledding for the first time this past March, and he was a big fan of that. And then this was his first time going sand sledding.
So what do you think? Snow sledding versus sand sledding? Which one did you like more?
Probably snow sledding.
Was it easier?
Yeah, it was easier, and if you fall off, it hurts a lot less.
I don't think the sand hurt.
Well, yeah, it's on a high spot.
Oh.
In a high packed spot.
So some of the areas at the bottom of the sand dunes are packed down more. So I guess if you were to fall off down there at the bottom, maybe hurt a little bit more. But
it also seemed
he was
like
not injured.
No. It also seemed like you went a little faster, went a little smoother in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sand dunes were awesome.
Yeah.
You know, they're actually gypsum, which makes them that brilliant, super white color.
So it's more gypsum sledding.
Gypsum sledding.
It's sort of fun though.
So super awesome. Now, being from Florida, we've been to the beach a million times. We've walked through the sand on the beach a million times.
Especially on the coast of Florida.
And I'm going to be honest, I was not super excited about dragging all this sand back with us, back into the RV, back into the truck, because in Florida, when you go to the beach, it doesn't matter how long you're there, you bring 100 pounds of sand back with you. It's sticking to you, it's sticking to everything. I will say this sand was a lot different. So this sand really just brushed right off.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't stick to you, it doesn't stick to your clothes. I mean, you pretty much just brush the sand off and go on. And you know, I guess in my mind, I just had that Florida beach sand in my mind that's what this was going to be like, but nothing like beach sand whatsoever.
I mean, yeah, because I fell off and I had to roll down the hill, and I had tons of sand drip some on me, and it was easy to brush it right off.
Yep.
Yeah. So climbing up the dunes is an incredible workout. It's a lot of work to get up to the top. A lot of work,
Right.
and if you are a little bit heavier, like an adult-sized person, sliding down the dunes is not so easy unless you have a spot that's really packed down good, or if it has rained recently and the dunes are a little bit wet, that kind of packs the sand down a little more. Dylan had no problem going down. He flew right down. We put the wax on the bottom of the board, but the issue was when I hopped on it, I tend to kind of sink in the sand a little more, so it didn't really slide quite like I imagined it would, but I did make a nice path for Dylan to go down. So he really enjoyed it, and we stopped at the first spot. We tried it out there, and then we went on back. They have a picnic area, which is actually big enough to bring RVs back into. It's a huge area back there. You know, I mean, I don't know why they don't turn that into a dry camping area back there and charge people to go in there, because there's no question that people would absolutely take them up on that offer back there. They have covered picnic tables. They have like spots that pull up right along the dunes. They have spots in the center. Just a really neat place if you have an RV, or even if you don't, but especially if you have an RV, you can pull right in there. We saw a few people parked in there with the RVs. They had the sides popped out, just spending the day there. And that would be an excellent place to go if you're going to visit with your RV. So after hanging out at that little picnic area a little bit, did some taller sand dunes back there, which completely wore us out. I mean, it's so much work to climb those sand dunes. You go and go and go, and you just don't make any progress. But after hanging out there for just a bit, we made our way out. There's a boardwalk trail that you can walk on. So if you want to hike through the dunes without having to actually hike in the sand, you can take that boardwalk trail, and it will lead you out to a spot through the dunes. where you can get some pictures and you can see the sand dunes out there.
Yes, and it was a very popular area.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there taking advantage of that.
So something else worth noting is that they do have a missile range there that surrounds the park. And they do some testing a couple days a week, and I guess it usually takes about an hour or 2 hours when they do it. So they recommend checking their website or calling before going to make sure that, you know, they're not doing that testing when you're planning on going.
Right.
Yeah, there's a spot on the website that it'll actually have a list of the scheduled missile tests and if there's any closures that are scheduled. So you can check the website for that. Oliver Lee Memorial State Park is a fantastic spot to visit White Sands from. Like we said, it's a half an hour away. There's not really anything close to Oliver Lee Memorial State Park out there. It's a pretty good drive. It's about 30 minutes or so to get back into town to get anything. So, you know, make sure that you're stocked up before you head out there to avoid having to make a whole big long trip into town to get any kind of supplies or anything. But good state park. It served its purpose well for us, and you know, we really enjoyed our stay there. We enjoyed seeing White Sands National Park. We are going to be headed up to Great Sand Dunes National Park here very shortly. It'd be interesting to kind of compare the two.
Oh, and another thing is we did not realize, but apparently April is usually the windiest month in New Mexico.
Yeah, we had some very high winds while we've been here in New Mexico. Today, as we record this video, it's actually a nice day out. It's sunny, it's not super windy, so we're gonna wrap this thing up. We're gonna go enjoy spending a little bit of time outside without getting wind blown or dirt blown in our face. But I think that's gonna wrap it up. We appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch you guys down the road.